Well, I want to thank all of you for being here today. Senator, thank you for your great words and laying out what's really happening. And to the Levitts, I can't thank you enough for sharing your personal story about what's happening in property insurance in Florida. We're here because Florida has never been more unaffordable, and Ron DeSantis is making it worse. DeSantis let property insurance double your rates, up to $2,200 for the average family in Florida. We now pay the highest in the nation for our property insurance. He called a special session that did absolutely nothing but give insurance companies billions in bailouts while everyday Floridians get the shaft, and we just heard from them. Thousands got dropped during hurricane season, and the number of people on Citizens nearly tripled. Florida's market was teetering on the verge of collapse even before Hurricane Ian. Now it's everyday Floridians who will be left paying even more to pick up the pieces in the wake of Ron's failure. When I was governor, we faced a similar insurance crisis. But unlike DeSantis, I know how to work with Democrats and Republicans. We came together, put our differences aside, and got the job done for the people of Florida. Almost unanimously, we stabilized the market, held insurance companies accountable, and lowered rates by 10%. Ron DeSantis failed to prepare our insurance market to handle Hurricane Ian, and now he's colluding with the insurance companies to shortchange you. Trust the insurance companies, he says. Meanwhile, DeSantis is doing their dirty work and saying the damage was caused by water, even though he knows most of the hurricane victims don't have flood insurance. It is absolutely unbelievable. We pay the highest insurance in America, and DeSantis thinks it's still not enough. People can't afford these endless rate increases. For so many working Floridians, if the windstorm doesn't cause you to lose your house, the windstorm insurance surely will, with Ron's help. Big Insurance gave DeSantis $3 million, and boy, does he deliver for them. However, I will deliver for you, the people of Florida. There are too many folks like the Levitts across our state who are struggling. Just yesterday, our campaign heard from someone who got dropped from their insurance provider right here in Palm Beach County because they stopped writing policies in Florida. But when they looked around, their quote was 3 times more than they had been paying before, but for less coverage. How can anyone afford that? To make matters worse, average rents are up over $700 per month since Ron took office. Who can afford that? For struggling Floridians, the hits keep coming. Ron let the utility monopolies increase your power bills by over $7 billion. Now they're back asking for permission to charge you $25 billion more. Do you know what the answer was from the Public Service Commission? They said, sure, but not till after the election. We don't want to hurt Ron. When I was governor, the people were in charge of the Public Service Commission. The utilities asked if they could raise your rates by $2 billion, and they only got 4% of what they asked for. But now they're in charge. They give Ron millions, and he lets them raise your costs by billions. DeSantis works for the utility monopolists, not you. Everyday Floridians can no longer afford to live in Florida as prices go up and up under DeSantis. He's ignoring the affordability crisis he created and trying to distract you with endless culture wars. Instead of solving problems, he creates problems, attacking women and families, teachers and children, immigrants and Black people, parents and LGBTQ. Ron plays politics, you pay more. That's the DeSantax. Here's how much in DeSantax Floridians are paying. $1 billion DeSantax in online purchases. $1.56 billion in DeSantax gas tax since the start of the Ukraine war when we demanded relief. $2 billion in DeSantax for Orange and Osceola counties over his attacks on Disney's free speech. $7 billion in DeSantax increases in your power bill, plus another $20 billion after the election. And for 2022 alone, Florida homeowners are paying an additional $15 billion in property insurance, while renters are paying an extra $25 billion DeSantax. That's over $50 billion in new DeSantaxes that you pay because Ron failed. Rent, property insurance, electricity, gas for your car, these are not luxuries. Everyone is impacted, and Ron is to blame. Folks, Florida can't afford 4 more years of Ron. You deserve a governor who will always have your back, not the back of the price gouging utilities, not the back of property insurance companies that are leaving Floridians behind, like we just heard from the doctor, not the back of Wall Street, coming into neighborhoods, snatching up homes and pricing everybody out. And I'll be the governor who does have your back. Floridians should never have to ask, do I pay my utility bill to keep the lights on, or my medical bill to get my life-saving medication like insulin? Or do I pay for my property insurance to keep a roof over my head during a hurricane, or pay for my gas in order to drive to work? Floridians should be able to provide for their families and meet their basic costs of living without having to sacrifice one important cost after another. We're all feeling the burden of the DeSantis tax. We've all had enough. Florida, for lower power bills, cheaper rent, property insurance you can afford, it's time to cut the DeSantis tax by voting for Charlie Crist on November the 8th. Thank you, and I'll do my best to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, how are you going to lower rent?
Well, we can start by not raiding the Sadowski Fund. It is a trust fund in the Florida budget, hundreds of millions of dollars, that is there specifically to help Floridians make sure they can afford their housing, whether it's purchasing or renting. And the legislature went along with Ron's plan to cut it in half going forward permanently. We'll repeal that as soon as I get elected and we get that into session.
Mr. Crist, so much you said this election season in midterms that economy and money matters really are primary for voters. Yet the governor does seem to effectively blame Democrats for a lot of the problems. I'm assuming he is trying to flip that argument.
I'm not trying to flip it. I'm trying to show what the truth is. I'm trying to show what Ron DeSantis has not done for our fellow Floridians. He's abandoned them. He's running for president. He doesn't care about Florida. He doesn't care about your property insurance. He doesn't care about your utility bill. He doesn't care about the price of gas. He doesn't care about the price of groceries. He's abandoned us because he's running for president, traveling all over the country. He ought to stop doing all of that and start focusing on Florida and helping people.
What's your plan the last few weeks here? I know there's a lot of registered Democrats here in Miami, these three counties. There's a lot of non-party as well. Would seem this area of Florida seems to be a big part of your strategy. How do you motivate the voters here in South Florida?
As I say, just tell the truth. Tell how, DeSantis has a war on women and your right to choose. He doesn't want women to have freedom, yet he talks about freedom all the time. Well, apparently not if you're a woman in Florida. He signed a bill, a 15-week bill, that not only bans abortions thereafter, but even says in cases of rape or incest, you can't have a procedure to take care of that you have to bear the rapist's child. That's unconscionable. Tell him the truth about what he's doing with property insurance, ignoring Floridians. Tell the truth about what he's doing with utility costs, letting them go through the roof. It's unimaginable. On the economy, he's failed. On freedom, he has failed. He's failed on women. He's failed on African Americans. He's failed on Floridians. Thank you very much. Did you have another one?
Well,
I'm sorry.
what about property insurance? Like
How can that be adjusted? Property insurance? Well, do what I did. Call a special session that actually addresses the problem instead of helping insurance companies even more. I mean, he's backing them. He's got their back. He doesn't have your back. When I was your governor, I called a special session on property insurance and we lowered the cost by 10%. That's what a real governor does. Thank you.